Good evening from Wales, wrestling fans. I'm Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight news, and reviews on a daily basis. It is Monday, December 23rd, 2024. We are only 2 days away from Christmas, and today it's a Monday, and you know what that means. It means we are opening the mail. We are answering the questions and hot takes which you guys have submitted to us, and it is going to be a very fun show. I'm looking forward to it, not just because of the topics, but also because I have a great panel as well. And let's kick things off with Clark Taylor. Clark, my question for you today is, if you had to choose between wearing Cody's tie clips for the rest of your life, every single time you wear a tie or a suit, you have to wear those tie clips, would you do that? Or would you have a Cody neck tattoo for only 1 year? What's your choice?
Give me the neck tattoo. I'm not wearing the tie
Really?
clips. It's only 1 year. I can gut out a year of anything, right? I've had rough years in the past. Last thing I want is a rough rest of my life. Give me the tattoo for 1 year. I'll wear it, make a joke out of it, and then it goes away.
Clark taking that neck tattoo for 1 year. Also joining us today,
Year of turtlenecks.
Also joining us today, we have somebody who is not only a big WWE fan, but is also a big fan of Disney. And Jordy In The Bank, my question for you is, which current WWE wrestler would best fit in a Disney film?
Oh, into a Disney film. I'm not going to say Priest in Black Panther because that should have happened and didn't. Oh, right. Let's have a quick think. I feel like Roman Reigns could be a bad guy in a Disney film. I feel like he could play a villain. I'm just not sure which one with the films that are coming up. But I feel like Roman Reigns would be the one to make that jump over. He could be a bad guy in Moana and fight The Rock.
Yeah. Oh, that would make a lot of sense. Maybe that's where we see the actual showdown between Rock and Reigns. That would be great. Soul's also pointing out that Jordy is alive. You're alive and well, Jordy. After having the flu last week, I'm glad you're better, and I'm glad you're here today. MDB999 is standing up for tie clips. He's saying they're swaggy as hell. Clark disagrees.
No. It's too old school. It's not a look anymore. It's not the move. Lapel pin, sure, absolutely. Pocket square, a tasteful pocket square, especially if you go 3-peak fold. Yeah, now we're talking. But tie clips, they've been dated for too long, man. It's out. It's long out. I will also say, when it comes to Disney characters, isn't Cody already a corny Disney character?
No, he's a character from The Boys. He's a character from The Boys.
Bobby Petito says, hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. I hope you have a Merry Christmas as well, Bobby. MDB all says American Clark.
Love it.
The only American Clark on the panel today. It's British Clark. Am I British Clark? Since when's that a thing?
Could be.
Kind of.
Could be me.
Perhaps so. Numero one Superfly says hello. Bobby says hello. Great to see all of you guys in the comments today. Sean Ellis is predicting that in 2025, Cody is going to lose his WWE Championship and turn heel. A great prediction, no doubt about it. But now let's get into the mail, shall we? Because we have a question submitted to us by @EzWiggles6 on Instagram, who is asking, fast forward a year, at this time in 2025, name all the WWE title holders. This is a great question. It is a fun question. And I actually wrote these out before the show. For the WWE Championship, I think Cody is going to hold it all the way until this time next year. Sorry, Clark, on this one, but that's what I do think is going to happen. As far as the World Championship goes, I do think now, I think Roman Reigns is going to win it, to be honest with you. I thought all year long we're going to get like Cody, Reigns, and Rocket Mania. I'm beginning to think maybe things aren't going to go that way. I think Roman Reigns is going to be world champion by this point next year. Then, as for the Intercontinental Championship, I believe John Cena will indeed be holding that heading into his retirement match in December 2024. In the US title picture, I think Trick Williams will be the champion. In the World Tag Team picture over on Raw, I'm predicting the Lucha Bros. And as for the WWE Tag Team Championships on SmackDown, I'm predicting the Usos. Then on the women's side of things, I'm predicting Jade Cargill will be the WWE champion. Charlotte Flair will be the world champion. Becky Lynch will be the Intercontinental champion. And I do think eventually there is going to be a turn. And I believe at this point next year, Piper Niven will have dethroned Chelsea Green for the US title. That is my prediction on that one. And as for the women's tag, I'm going to be honest with you, it is absolutely anybody's guess. I've gone for Liv and Raquel, but it really could be anyone. That's the one where I'm really, really not sure about. But yeah, that is my card. Rosario is saying it was an amazing question. It absolutely was. MDB is saying CM Punk will be world heavyweight champion by the end of next year. And yeah, also MDB saying Clark's usually hosts the show. Well, we share it. It's 50-50.
No, it's 50-50. When I'm on at the same time as Ben, he hosts, so that's the thing. Someday there's gonna be like a special that we do where we flip the roles, break the entire internet. But that's the whole thing, is it's a long-term story. We've been building this for 2+ years.
Yeah.
So that when that day comes, you'll know about it.
And we'll what's the word where we'll gaslight you all and say Clark's always hosted every single show. What are you on about?
Yeah, the fans are clamoring for it too. We might even do it on April Fool's Day.
There we are. That could well be the move. Jordy, I'm going to go at you first on this one. Who do you reckon will hold the WWE Championships this time next year?
I'm just on my phone. Don't worry. I'm just getting my notes up because I also made some notes. Some of ours are the same, Ben, but I'm not going back on my word. I appreciate, but I'll go through it. So WWE title, I'm going Roman Reigns. I just think he's destined to head that way again. I did swear because obviously we've not seen him hold the world title. There was that moment, wasn't there, where we kind of went past and looked at the world title, but I still think they're going to want him to have the one that has the big WWE logo on it. So Roman Reigns for WWE, Randy Orton for world champion, I'm going. Mainly because I want to see it. That's in all honesty, I can't tell you the booking process on how I want to get there. I just want to see him start getting them numbers up towards where Cena is. US champion, I'm going for Big Jim. I'm going for Big Jim because it's time. Well, not time. It's a year on, but Jimmy needs some progression from the bloodline story. He certainly has been on screen a lot, but when you look at where Jay's gone, look at what Solo's doing now. Jimmy is the one to me that feels like he's almost fallen a little bit by the wayside, and I want him to have a run at a title himself. So Big Jim for US. I'm also saying Cena. I think he's going to hold it going into his retirement, if not have a match on his retirement to win it and then retire it. And Tag World, World Tag, I'm going American Made because I just want to see it again. And WWE Tag, I'm going Motor City Machine Guns because I think once they get them titles back from DIY, I feel like they'll have a lengthy run with it. And I don't think they're going to get them back right away. I think they might even stretch it to Mania for that. So that's the men's. On the women's side, women's WWE, I'm going Rhea Ripley. I don't need a reason. I just feel like they'll have Rhea holding a belt. I've not really seen her hold that one since they've done this split. So again, it could be. Why not? Women's world, I'm going Charlotte Flair because I think when she comes back, she'll be gunning for a title, and it's never usually very long until she gets one. The IC, I'm going Zelina Vega because I wanted her to win it like from the start. And I just hope that she gets it. US champ, I'm going for Ivy Nile because I think it just fits in with the whole American made thing. And the women's tag team, I think it'll be Damage Control. But again, yeah, Ben, it could be anyone. That's so hard to predict.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, with the women's tag, they do just flip flop, and it's new teams every
Lash
year.
Legend, maybe, and Jakara, they could be a possibility. But,
that is a good shout. The metaphor, or the meta 2 from the metaphor, that would make a lot of sense. Coach 23 is saying Logan Paul holding the Intercontinental Championship. That could happen. Arav is saying that he thinks Dom will be a champion, perhaps the IC US tag, but just something. Could well see that. Number 1 Superfly could see Cody and Shinsuke holding it all the way until 2025. If Shinsuke was champion this time next year, I would be shocked, but I would not be against it at all. MDB 999 saying time for Jimmy to stick his toe in the water. He needs to catch up, doesn't he? Just give Rhea all the belts. Yeah, I do agree. Rhea, like you said, Jordy, will probably be a champion. The fact that I don't have her as a champion, I think is, to be honest with you, a bit of a shock. Rosario was predicting that. Oh, wow. Oh, sorry, no. Rosario is predicting that CM Punk will be the WWE champion, Gunther will be the world champion, the US champion will be Kaiser, and Carmelo will be the IC. And then for the tag teams, he's got no clue. Yeah, they're really difficult to predict. There's no denying that. What about you, though, Clark? Who are you predicting will be champions this time next year?
He's muted.
The curse of the mute button has hit you.
Even better. You guys are going to love this even more. Not only did I accidentally mute myself there, but just like in school, I'm disorganized as far as my list. It's not in order of men's and women's like you guys is. But it is a good list. I will try to read them out of order. We're going to go ladies first here when it comes to this one. World heavyweight title, I'm going to agree with Jordy on Rhea Ripley. She's going to hold a major title. I'm going world heavyweight title. When it comes to Ripley, I'm going Bianca Belair for the WWE title. That's what we're talking about here. And beyond that, let's go tag teams. Well, I guess I got to stick with the women. So U.S. women's title, Zelina Vega. Intercontinental title for the women's, Kalani Jordan. And women's tag, I'm going to go with... that's like the one that I didn't really write down. I'm going to go with... Let me think here for a second. I mean, honestly, I'm going to go with something from NXT. Give me Metaphor. Give me Metaphor for that one. That's the move. Yeah. Give me Metaphor for the women's tag titles. And then as far as the men's side's concerned, I've got a little bit more organization here. So we'll start with the Intercontinental title. I'm going to go with Randy Orton because just like Ben mentioned, he said John Cena. I think that's what this rivalry is going to be about, is Cena making that last little stamp on his Hall of Fame resume one more time against his greatest rival, Randy Orton. I'm all for that. Somehow we get Randy Orton to that IC title, and we end up with that rivalry around this time of year next year, headed to Cena's retirement match. The United States title, on the other hand, I'm going to go with Trick Williams for this one. I'm going with Trick Williams there. I think that's the play. As far as the tag titles are concerned, I've got the Street Profits over on the Raw side. On the SmackDown side, I've got Fraxium also out of NXT. And then, of course, we're going to head to the main event scene. I really should have written these in order. For the World Heavyweight title, we're going with Seth Rollins. And for the WWE title, we're doing it right now. Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief, returns to his seat on the top of the mountain, holds the WWE title. I think I got them all. I wish my handwriting wasn't so bad. That's the problem.
Oh, gosh. It's a lot of championship belts. So that is the thing. Like when I was reading out mine, I was losing breath because the amount of champions there are.
Yeah.
Long,
and You got to read them in order. I was reading them out of order. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. How do I make sure I get all the women's
The
belts
thing is, as
first?
well, if we'd have gone around and done it one by one and done it belt by belt, it'd have taken the whole show because we all would have given a reason and it would have been.
Oh yeah,
it would have been a whole
forever.
thing.
I was trying to
Yeah.
rapid fire too. I just didn't write them down in order. I was like, dang
Oh,
it, like, oh, where do I go next?
ECX Warlord said, "Don't
There's all
forget
these
the
names.
Speed
And there's a lot of things
Championships."
crossed out.
I think WWE might have forgotten about Speed by this time
No,
next year.
that'll probably
I
still
mean,
be on
probably.
Andrade.
oh, who knows? Who knows? Maybe
Who's the
Carmelo Hayes.
fastest? Whoever's the fastest.
You know,
straight
none
line.
of us have said Braun Breaker, which is a notable.
Yeah,
He's
because I
fast from all the list, isn't it?
think it's gonna be either Roman or Cody versus Braun Breaker Mania next year. So I think he's gonna lose the IC belt, and they're gonna start to build him up for the main event run heading into next year's Mania. So I reckon he's gonna be in between at that point. MD saying we asked for these titles. We indeed do.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Sean Ellis says, do you think Becky and Charlotte are going to return for the women's IC and the US belts? Well, that's an accolade which neither of them have gotten. So perhaps so in
Are
Charlotte's
they still
case,
Grand
I think
Slam?
she wants. That's a good
That's
point.
That's a very good
Possible.
point.
Ooh, yeah.
It's like, are all these Grand Slam champions? Are they still Grand Slam champions?
No, I don't think you are. They're now not. They've now lost that
It
accolade.
does feel a bit
If
like
they'd have
moving the goalposts,
retired,
'cause
if
you're a
they'd have
Grand Slam champion
retired
in your era,
prior, if they'd have retired prior to these belts coming in, I think I would have given it, because it's like, well, they can't win it if they're not competing. But now they're still competing and these belts have got brought in. I'm kind of like, you're gonna have to go and win them.
yeah, this is
So
an interesting debate.
traditionally, what happens is traditionally throughout wrestling history, you say once a new Grand Slam is introduced, when they refer to the previous Grand Slam, they'll have like a name for it, like
So
a
it's
something
modern
Grand Slam.
Slam.
So yeah, so that's what they'll end up, I presume, doing. So they'll still have that accolade on their Wikipedia page.
Modern day
probably
Grand Slam
be-
champ.
It'll
Something like
probably
that.
it'll probably be like the I have no idea what they'd even call it, like the Revolution era Grand Slam or something like that.
In all fairness, though, isn't the NXT Championship classed within a women's Grand Slam?
See, I'm curious on that.
I don't
too.
think it is. No,
I
don't
thought
think
it
no,
was at
no.
one stage, though. To Jordy's point,
it was. It previously was. I
was.
don't
It
think
was,
it is
right,
anymore.
yeah.
See, that's where I'm like, we're moving the goalposts too much. It's hard
Because
to
no,
quantify.
because
we are.
Becky went to NXT to win it, to become
To do
Grand
that,
Slam Becky.
like literally to pad that stat.
Yeah,
She did, but
that's
she's
why
now
she.
a Grand Slam, not the Grand Slam. It's like a
Yeah.
treble in football. You can win the Carabao Cup, you can win the FA
Right,
Cup, and you can
okay,
win the
right,
Community
gotcha.
Shield.
Well, it's
That's
even
a treble.
honestly,
it's not the treble.
Golf is
Right,
like the perfect
okay.
example, because they always talk about the only person to ever win the Grand Slam in one season was Bobby Jones. And Bobby Jones started the Masters. The modern Grand Slam includes the Masters. He couldn't have won the Masters. He hadn't started the tournament yet when he won the current 4 majors in golf, right? Like, that's the perfect example right there. You know, what do you say? Did he win the Grand Slam or did he not? Like,
Fascinating debate. It really, really is. I mean, I think it's clear now there is a new modern Grand Slam, and nobody's won it yet. But in those next few years, let's see if anybody does, because that could certainly be fun. Now let's move on to the next question, because the next question is submitted by @just.apart over on Instagram, who is asking Clark to book an NXT versus ECW card. I mean, I think this one could be fun.
a quick question though.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to use non-active ECW wrestlers like that.
Oh, obviously.
Okay.
This is
Perfect.
a completely hypothetical one. This is, yeah.
That
Go
I
for
got
it.
a little nervous there because I was like, I didn't want to misanswer this question. So I'm going to do the Eliminators versus Fraxium for in a tag match out of the gates. That's my curtain jerker. That's a no-brainer good one that I really, 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 really want to see. I am then also going to do Tommy Dreamer versus All Ego Ethan Page. That's my second match, and I think it would be off the charts. With that ECW roster, it's really hard to book women's wrestling. So I want to be clear, because there wasn't much in ECW, that I do not have a women's match on my card, but it's nearly impossible to book. Like, what are you supposed to do when it comes to that scenario? My next match that I'm all in on might be the main event, but it also might be a little bit earlier because I've got more down the line here. I've got Trick Williams taking on Raven. I'm all over Trick Williams versus Raven. I think that match blows the roof off the building. It's Raven is good of a heel as anybody. Trick against Raven can anything that leads to that. Yes, I'm all over. Thank you so much. Up next, I've got a really interesting one, but I just find it fascinating and think it would be funny because they're starting to catch some momentum and I wanted to throw it on the card. And with what we know about the Dudleys these days, I really want the Dudleys against Hank and Tank on this card. It has to happen. The Dudleys versus Hank and Tank, get the crowd rocking, get all of that. And man, when it comes to this is what I think should be the main event because I think it should be for the ECW television title, essentially. And it's the greatest high flyer to never hold the ECW world title in ECW. Yes, he accomplished that feat later in the WWE, but I got to give credit where it's due. MDB, you called it. This is my main event. Rob Van Dam versus Javon Evans to finish out the card. Maybe put that ECW TV title on the line or something like that. I would love that.
That would be phenomenal. And Hank and Tank versus the Dudley Boys as well.
Yeah, I had to save that one as like a co-main tables match, likely, I think, would be the way that you'd want to book that one. I tried to add some stipulations to him, but I didn't want to, go too long here. So that one would have to be tables. I think you'd have to see some sort of a Ravens rules when it came to him and Trick Williams as well. A variation.
What about Taz, MD saying?
So here's the thing. I really wanted to put Taz on the card, but for a Taz match, talk about an innovator of suplexes and holds and whatnot. There wasn't somebody on the opposite side that super stood out to me, and I really wanted to get Dreamer, Raven, and Sandman on the card.
I have a suggestion.
So there may be one there Taz-wise. Taz could also be on that call with Joey Styles, but I don't know either because, it's Joey Styles. He's a one-man booth. In my eyes, he's one of the best one-man booths of all time.
My suggestion would be Taz versus Obafemi.
Oh, that would be outstanding. That'd be really fun.
Just because
that would be amazing.
He can't suplex him, but he could try and choke him out. And I would love the finish to literally see Taz on his back, just with him in the sleeper and just them drop to the ground. Do you know what I mean? And Taz be able to choke out as well.
Giant. So a bonus.
Tony D, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Taz versus Tony D could be electric. That is hard to leave. I was going 5 matches, guys. I'm sorry. There's only so much I could do. And as such an ECW diehard, like I said, my primary goal was I really do want to get Raven, Dreamer, and Sandman on the card in singles action, just because that was important to me. I wanted to get the Dudleys on the card, and I really wanted to get the Eliminators on the card. That was another one too. The Eliminators. Perry Saturn, I've said this a long time. Most of the guys that train with Killer Kowalski are all-time greats. Ask Triple H about that, how that worked out for him. Perry Saturn might be the most underrated bell-to-bell from the 90s as a star. If you watch his work in ECW and WCW, whether it's tag or singles, all of that, his rivalry with Raven in WCW, his run as a part of the Eliminators, he might be the most underrated. There's a reason he was in the Radicals. There's a reason he was one of those 4. Bell to bell, he could go with anybody in the world. And the moppy stuff, that's what he's remembered for now. And that's a shame. Because if you haven't seen Perry Saturn at his finest, he's that good.
Absolutely. MD saying, you ain't Triple H Clark. Give us the Tony Khan dream card.
It was a stadium scramble.
Oh, do you know what else I think could actually have great chemistry? Taz and Taven Heights. Actually, I think could work. That would be very, very interesting. That is for sure. Rosario saying crazy finish, Jordy. Christopher Leclerc saying Kelly and Layla versus Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade.
Okay, this is really where it's interesting because I was trying to get a women's match on the card. That's why I gave the heads up there. I didn't really want to count WWE ECW and Kelly would have been the best. So I didn't want to count that era. That's where you would have been able to have a roster where you could book a women's match. Right. But Francine and Beulah, while outstanding performers, were not wrestling bell to bell. They weren't putting on matches
Lita
like
did
that.
some work in
And
ECW, did she?
Not the way you would have expected. Not like doing moonsaults and not really wrestling. Like
I thought she was with SA Rios in ECW, but I might be wrong about that.
no,
But yeah, I think she was more of a manager.
The wrestling wise, it was just, and I was thinking, 90s ECW was the main thing. Like, when I was booking this card, and so I do want to make that very clear. Like, the NXT women's division, if you know me, I believe is the best in the world right now, and it's the best booked in the world. And I would love to have a women's match on this card. I just thought it would also be kind of like disrespectful in a way to book a match that didn't make any sense, right? Just to throw a name in there.
Jazz.
I
guess.
Jazz would have been the best call. Jazz is the best wrestler I could have pulled from that, but she didn't even really get that much time in ECW.
No, it's true. There wasn't much time. You're 100% right there. It's unfortunate.
I went with it that way, but I don't want anyone to think that I was trying to be like, I'm just going to pick the He-Man.
I think we do Jazz versus Julia anyway.
I'd be all over that. No, that match is perfect. I'm all over that. Add it. It's 6-match card.
There we are. There we are.
6.
No, perfect. I wasn't sure because I love these type of conversations. I'm just like, ECW is really hard.
It is. No, it is obviously different era then, so it is difficult now when you compare it to currently. It's a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
But now let's move on to the next question, shall we? Because our next question is submitted by, well, it's actually a hot take, this one, and it is submitted by Philip is the greatest, and self-proclaimed, I'm guessing, who is saying, I think Dominic will outshine his father as his career goes on, of course, in reference to Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio. I mean, that is a big, big call. Rey Mysterio, one of the biggest stars in the history of this industry. So Dominic outshining him, I think it will be a very, very difficult task. But Jordy, you've had a lot of comparisons to Dominic Mysterio over the last few months. What's your thoughts on this one?
It's a tricky one. I mean, like instantly your brain goes, absolutely not possible. But then you start to think about, it depends on what do we mean by outshine, in a sense, I guess. I think Dominic can certainly have, in a sense, more depth of character in his career than Rey Mysterio's had. I think you could even maybe argue that he's had that already, because Rey Mysterio is, as he should be, he is the ultimate underdog. He's basically a superhero. There's been cartoon animated series made about this guy. He is one that does transcend wrestling. I don't think he gets spoke about in the same vein as The Rock and John Cena, in the sense of all right, it's that thing that The Rock does. You know what I mean? He goes beyond wrestling fans, but Rey Mysterio certainly does. People know Rey Mysterio. They know the mask. He's iconic. So he's almost, Rey Mysterio will be timeless in this game. That's it. It goes without saying, because he's just done so much. But if you're looking at it in a sense of, could Dominic have this kind of story arc where he's the ultimate heel right now, but somewhere down the line he ends up being a baby face? And then, like I say, he's been in WWE however long he says he has, since he was a kid, and he was in the Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio storyline. But I know we joke about that, but he has been around the business for that length of time. My instinct would be to say no, but will he? But if you were to ask me, could he? I would say he could. It's possible in a sense. Like I say, it just really does depend on how you look at things. It depends on, right, you're looking at it from, I don't think Dominic Mysterio will ever become the household name that Rey Mysterio is. I don't think he'll ever, definitely won't be a bigger luchador and be in that game. So probably not. I'd be, just because of the wider reach. But if you look at kind of somebody that would come and analyze both careers, say Dom has this unbelievable career where he has brilliant heel turns and face turns, and he has more depth and he has more diversity to the storylines that he can play, because Ray has that thing of like, he always has to be a face, really. Dom doesn't have that. I think maybe he won't outshine him, but I will certainly say that I think Dom Mysterio could have and will have more fun with his career than Rey Mysterio had.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a few comments here. Like Christopher Leclerc says it won't happen. MD is saying Rey Mysterio is literally one of the pillars of modern wrestling. But he also makes this interesting point here, which I do agree with, and you touched on it, Jordy, that perhaps Dom could do it within wrestling, but no way can he do it when it comes to cultural relevance. Because, yeah, you just can't. You absolutely can't. But again, he's only, I think he's like 26, 27 now. He's got another like 2.5 decades left.
I think it's really fascinating because you look at some of the biggest like wrestlers who, you know, are multi-generational, right? And you know, there's a couple that come to the top of your head right now, especially in WWE with Cody, right? And Orton, having expectations. The difference between those two, though, they never really had to stand next to their dad in wrestling because they weren't active anymore. And that's there's an added layer of pressure because of Ray being active currently that Dom carries that they don't, right? It was always even The Rock, right? You know what I mean? He never, though, had to stand next to his dad, wrestle his dad, have rivalries. You know what I mean? That comparison is logically easier to make because we see them in the same room more often, right? For lack of a better way to put it. And
you are right.
It makes the conversation kind of dicey there. But I really like how you broke that down, Jordy, because I'm in agreement. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. I mean, I didn't think, by the way, if you'd have told me when Cody was doing cartwheels with face paint that he'd be in this part of the conversation back then, I would have laughed at you. And
that's another good point, right?
Yeah, it's the same with Roman as well. In all fairness, like if you look at like the Roman from 10 years ago, people actively didn't want him to succeed. Like in now with 10 years down the line, and it's like you can't have that conversation without him being at the forefront of it. It's crazy.
You are absolutely right there. I mean, you mentioned, Jordy, there's a lot of things which Rey Mysterio has done throughout his career. One thing which he hasn't done is wrestle in Progress Wrestling, one of my favorite wrestling promotions, and they have a streaming service, and that, of course, is Demand Progress Plus. But it's not only Progress Wrestling on there. There's some Defy Wrestling from over in America as well as a variety of other promotions from around Europe, from around the world, including TNT Extreme Wrestling. There's so much good wrestling on there. It's such a user-friendly platform. I believe it's available anywhere in the world as well, but definitely in the UK and the United States, but I do believe anywhere. And I say it all the time, it's user-friendly. There's so much good wrestling on there. Great value for money. If you like me and you like watching things on 1.5 times speed, that's an option on there as well. Now the WWE Network is officially ending overseas. You might have a little bit more money in your pocket, and honestly, Demand Progress Plus is a great place to spend it. And use code WatchProgress1 to get 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus, the home of Progress, Defy, and more. It is well worth it. But now let's move into our final topic, our final question of the day, because this one is submitted. Well, actually, this one's a hot take, and it is submitted by Tiger Suplex _. And their hot take is this: am I the only one who thinks CM Punk is overhyped and not as good as people think he is? This is a difficult question. I'll answer this firstly, right? Because I think throughout his career, CM Punk has always been overrated as an in-ring wrestler. He always has been. That's not to say he isn't a great in-ring wrestler. He's had so many classics, but there's been so many people who CM Punk has faced who are so much better than him between the ropes. He's a great wrestler, but he's not in the greatest of all time argument when it comes to the in-ring product. But what he is better at than perhaps anybody else in modern wrestling history is getting people to talk about him. And that is the skill, which is why I don't think he's overhyped. Because the reason he's hyped is because he gets that hype by getting people to talk about him. So I don't think he's overhyped at all. But from a purely in-ring perspective, I would agree. But wrestling is more than just between the ropes. You got to sell matches as well, and nobody does that as well as CM Punk. Jordy, what's your take on this one?
Very similar, and it's something why when it comes to kind of comparisons and ranking and looking at wrestlers and comparing them, especially the word overhyped. I mean, is CM Punk overhyped? It's like saying is medium rare the perfect way to have a steak in a sense. It's in the eye of the beholder. How hyped do you see him? You know what I mean? I think it would be unfair to say that he's overhyped because I'm with you, Ben, and I think this is something that gets forgotten about a lot in the modern game of wrestling. That people do focus a lot on in-ring ability, and that certainly is important. And I would say it's probably quite safe to say in terms of in-ring ability, we are seeing some of the best that we've ever seen and some of the most captivating performers that we've ever seen. But as you said perfectly, Ben, it isn't all about that. I think that some people sometimes do forget that a little bit. The golden rule and what it's all about is putting bums on seats and selling tickets. And that's what it all comes down to. You want, and like that comes from, as you said, Ben, getting people to talk about you. So he goes around saying he's the best in the world at what he does. And he means in the ring. And, you know, he said it, hell, even on commentary, he said the lot. That's going to annoy people because, like, he probably knows factually that he isn't the best in the ring, but that's going to get people talking. He likes to push people's buttons. But more than that, he likes to tell stories. When he's on the microphone, it's the little things that he got taught by people like Paul Heyman. He knows how to close out on TV. He doesn't stumble very often on the microphone. He makes you care. Whether he's making you like him or whether he's making you dislike him, you care about what he's got to say. He is a draw. So for that reason, I don't think it's fair to say he's overhyped. At some points in his career, I would have loved to be able to say it because, like, he's done stuff that annoys me. But the proof's always in the pudding. Like, he always puts on that show and he always proves people wrong that doubt him. So I don't think so on this one. Like I say, there was times when I'd love to be able to say it, but I don't think I'd be being honest.
Fair enough on that one. I mean, Coach 23 is going as far as say, as far as in ring wise, he's much similar, and this generation's Bret Hart. I'm sorry, I'm rarely disagree with you, Coach 23. I massively disagree with you on that one. Bret Hart, he was almost perfect in everything he did between the ropes. CM Punk does have the fairly common botch at times, but not only that, Bret Hart was an innovator between the ropes. CM Punk isn't. And that's not me dissing Punk. I'm a huge CM Punk fan. And like I said earlier, he gets people to talk about him better than anybody else in the business. And to Jordy's point, one of the main things in this business is to put butts in seats. And that is what CM Punk does. But Clark, do you think CM Punk is overhyped?
So my answer is no, but he's earned it because he's got an innate ability that not many professional wrestlers have, which is he's polarizing. So he can be a good or a bad guy, but he's polarizing and people are going to talk about him no matter what. Whether he's good or bad, whether he's a heel or a face, he's going to sit there. He's going to sit there and he's going to get under some skin. And some people are going to go, but I love him and he's great. He is polarizing and it's brilliant. And there are certain personalities. It reminds me of Broadway Joe Namath, right? He'd tell you they're going to beat you and then beat you. And some people loved that and some people didn't. That's who CM Punk is. Same gimmick, right? Joe Namath, NFL player for the Jets. That's who it is. It's the same deal, right? He's going to be there and he knows how good he is and he's going to let you know how he knows how good he is. And all of that, you're going to react to it, whether you like it or not. That's the brilliance of CM Punk. You look at what he did in mixed martial arts. He's 0-2 in the UFC. He brought CM Punk fans to watch those shows. They did better numbers because he was on the card. The guy was an amateur. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. The guy was an amateur. But what he did, promotionally speaking, to fill the arena, to bring in fans and add tickets, he's going to have the hardcore CM Punk fans. And putting hardcore and punk in the same sentence already tells you that. He's got his own following in a way that is loyal to CM Punk. That is unique. It's unique in any market, let alone pro wrestling. So I would not say overhyped. He's earned it. If he talks, people then respond. It's that simple, right? He said something, whether it's wild or not. If you pay attention to professional wrestling and you pay enough attention, you have a response or a reaction to it. Whether it's in support or against, doesn't matter. He's the king of being polarizing. He's the king of being talked about. It's like the classic cliche, like, right, not all press is, or bad press is still fine, all that stuff. Yeah, like, doesn't matter. He's Teflon when it comes to this, right? He is. He can go away for 7 years and come back and everybody wants him.
It's true.
Because you're curious. It's pure curiosity. It's a personality thing. What in-ring stuff aside, it's a personality deal with Punk. So I would say he's not overhyped because of that. Because he has that unique ability.
Why he's such a good face right now is that, and I mentioned this on a daily before, that he's the reason he's back, and the reason he went, it was Vince. Vince was
all
the
press
problem.
is good press. Thank you, MVD.
And now we're in a situation where Vince has gone and everybody hates Vince. So he's like, all right, that in essence then makes me the good guy because I hated him all along.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's just a perfect storm for Punk at the minute. But because we all love him so much right now, you wait for that moment because he will heel turn and he'll make everyone hate him again. Because that's what he does. It's what Cena's great at. It's polarizing. These things that they can't maybe do what a Will Ospreay or a Kenny Omega can do in the ring, but they can sell tickets. They can get bums on seats. And here you go, Ben. Here's a Christmas present for you. You can clip this, and this will get the comments going mad.
Oh, okay.
If AEW always say we're the best wrestle, right? And in a sense of performance, yeah, they can maybe have that. If it was where the best wrestle, they would constantly be selling out in the same way that WWE are, because that's what wrestling is. At the end of the day, you're putting on a show. When you put on a show, you're selling tickets, and people want to see that show. So if you had the best of the best of the best, ticket sales wouldn't be a problem. So that's why I have an issue with that model from AEW.
The actual thing I think with AEW, and this is a bit of a different conversation, but the thing is, I don't necessarily think wrestling, the in-ring product, is necessarily what puts butts in seats. To the point we were making earlier with CM Punk, he's a great wrestler, but he's not the best wrestler. But the reason why he puts more butts in seats than anybody else is to what Clark's point was, he's polarizing. Controversy creates cash. All of that stuff. It is true. And to just summarize the question, is he overhyped? I don't think he is, because I think to be overhyped, it's got to be other people hyping you up. Whereas CM Punk, he's the one who creates the hype himself. So I can't see it. But a great point, Jordy. No doubt about it. Let's read some comments before we wrap up. Punk's feud with Rock in 2013 made fans cheer for him despite him being the heel. Again, polarizing. It works. MD saying he's loyal to CM Punk until the end. Rosario saying I'd compare Punk to Y2J debuting during the Rock's promo.
Well, I hear that too, because of the way that Y2J was so charismatic in that promo.
Yeah,
I get it. No, you know what? There's a point there. I do absolutely.
No, actually, now I see it. Yeah, I
get it. That makes actually a ton of sense.
Absolutely. Well, there we are then. I think everybody's pretty much in agreement. CM Punk, he is not overhyped, but he is a cult of personality. I see what you did there, Coach. 23.
Got him.
Thank you, Jordy. Thank you, Clark. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow for our biggest Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast ever. It's going to be a 7-person panel. There's going to be drinking games. It's going to be a Christmas special. And this is very important. It will not be on Twitch. It will only be on YouTube, X, It will only be on YouTube and X, right? It probably won't be on Instagram Live either, just because they allow us slightly
We
strict
don't want to
on
get
there.
in no troubles.
And because we're doing some drinking games, we don't want to risk it. But we will be live on YouTube as normal, same time, same place tomorrow. We hope you guys join us because it is going to be a very fun show. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you, Jordy. Thank you, Clark. And thank you to everybody who's commented throughout. We really do appreciate it. We will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.